If you're in e-commerce, you've probably felt it, right? That pressure to offer super fast shipping, 2-day delivery, maybe even faster.
Oh, yeah. It almost feels like table stakes these days.
Yeah. But here's what we want to dig into today. Just chasing speed, without the right foundation. It can actually hurt your business,
Mm-hmm.
stretch you thin, and maybe not even build the loyalty you think it will. So for everyone listening, maybe think, is my current setup really ready for just focusing on speed?
That's such a good point. It's like trying to win a race, but you haven't tuned the engine properly.
Right.
You might get a quick burst, sure, but it's not sustainable. You could break down. Shipping's the same. You need those core systems solid before you can reliably and cost-effectively speed things up.
Exactly. So our mission here is to explore those building blocks. We're breaking down 5 key areas that successful businesses really nail before they obsess over just delivery times.
Right.
Think of this as a shortcut, maybe, to building a shipping operation that's cost-effective, efficient, scalable, and actually keeps customers happy long term. We'll be using insights on building effective operations. So let's start with number 1. What are the risks if you put all your eggs in one carrier basket?
Well, think about disruptions. A strike, bad weather, maybe just a huge volume surge their network can't handle.
And suddenly your fulfillment just stops.
Exactly. Orders get stuck, customers get angry, and, it's totally out of your control at that point.
That's a nightmare scenario for any business.
It really is. And it's not just big disruptions. Costs change, right? If you're locked in, you can't easily switch to someone cheaper or negotiate effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, peak season hits, and maybe your one carrier just runs out of capacity for you. Then you're facing delays you just can't avoid.
Okay, so avoiding that lock-in is critical. How does a business actually build this flexibility? It sounds like maybe more work up front.
It takes some setup, yeah, but the payoff in resilience and cost, it's huge. The key is having backup carriers lined up, people you can switch volume to quickly.
Okay.
And using real-time rate shopping tools is crucial. So for every single shipment, you can see the options, compare the cost.
And pick the best one right then and there.
Exactly. And just having the operational setup, the processes
Yeah.
to actually switch carriers easily when you need to, whether it's for cost or service or whatever.
Being nimble, basically, ready to adapt.
Yeah.
So how can technology help here? I know platforms like ours aim to solve this.
Yeah, platforms are designed for this. We, for instance, let businesses turn on new carriers almost instantly. No long contract talks, no complex IT integration needed. And the core is that real-time rate comparison across, dozens of carriers. You see our pre-negotiated rates, your own custom rates if you have them, all side by side.
So you can always choose the smartest option.
Right. Saves time, saves money.
We heard about that $350 million fashion brand, remember? They were facing like a 10% jump in last mile costs almost overnight.
Ouch. Yeah.
That sounds exactly like where this flexibility becomes a lifesaver, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In that situation, being able to instantly tap into, say, USPS Ground Advantage, shift volume smoothly, run simulations to see the cost impact, and then set up rules for long-term optimization. That's incredibly powerful. It's about having options and being agile enough to use them.
Okay, so foundation 1, flexible carrier strategy, super important. What's the next cornerstone we need to talk about?
Foundation 2. Real-time transparency for your customers. This is all about their experience.
Yes, the where is my order
Yeah.
question. I know I check tracking constantly after I buy something, you too.
Definitely. And we're not alone. The data shows like 93% of consumers want to know where their order is at every step.
Wow, 93%. That's huge.
It is. It's not just about speed anymore. It's about being kept in the loop, managing expectations.
So what happens if you don't provide that transparency? What's the downside for the business?
Well, first off, your customer support gets flooded with those Wizmo inquiries. That costs time and money.
Right.
And even if the delivery is fast, if the customer feels like they're in the dark, it feels slow, it feels frustrating.
Yeah, that makes sense. The perception matters.
Totally. And the biggest impact, it erodes trust. If tracking is bad or missing, customers are just less likely to buy from you again.
Okay, so that repeat business really takes a hit. How do businesses build this transparency effectively then?
The goal is real-time updates. Scan every step. Proactive alerts are great too. Hey, there's a potential delay. Here's the new ETA. And just make the whole tracking experience easy to find and easy to understand on your site or via email. No hoops to jump through.
And how do platforms like ours help with that?
Well, we enable businesses to create their own branded tracking pages, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Keeps the customer in your ecosystem.
Yeah, I like that. It keeps your brand front and center.
Exactly. And you can even add things like product recommendations or promotions on that page.
Mm-hmm.
Turn a cost center into potentially a revenue generator.
Oh, interesting.
Plus, by integrating with so many carriers, platforms can provide that reliable, consistent tracking data regardless of who's actually delivering the package.
So it's about keeping them informed, keeping them engaged, maybe even selling them more while they wait. Okay, Foundation 2, real-time transparency. What's Foundation 3?
Foundation 3 is proactive carrier compliance and relationship management. Not the sexiest topic, maybe,
Ha, probably not.
but it's absolutely vital for smooth sailing.
Okay, the behind-the-scenes stuff. Why is managing compliance and the carrier relationship so critical? What happens if you neglect it?
A lot, actually. First, you might not get the best rates. Carriers have requirements, service levels. Meet them, you might get discounts. Ignore them, you probably won't.
Paying more than you need to.
Yep. And you can face penalties or even service disruptions if you're not compliant with labeling rules, manifest rules, all that stuff. Plus, think about your team's time. Do you want them spending hours figuring out carrier rules and fighting fires, or focusing on growing the business?
Good point. Resource strain.
And when things do go wrong, like a lost package, having a decent relationship with the carrier makes getting it resolved much, much easier.
Okay, so real financial and operational impacts. How do businesses tackle this? Seems like it could be a full-time job.
It can be. Basically, you have two paths. You build an in-house team, dedicate resources to negotiating, staying updated, managing compliance, the big investment.
Yeah.
Or you leverage a shipping platform. Good platforms have the expertise baked in. They manage the compliance side, often have pre-negotiated rates, and handle a lot of that carrier relationship overhead for you.
And how do platforms like ours help specifically here?
Well, we invest heavily in compliance.
Yeah.
Just in 2024, our systems handle something like 3,500 hours of compliance management tasks automatically for users.
Wow.
That's time your team doesn't have to spend. We ensure labels are correct, manifests are right, regulations are met. And for bigger shippers, we offer dedicated account managers.
Right.
They spent over 8,300 hours last year just providing direct support, helping optimize, avoid bottlenecks, navigate carrier issues. It's about providing that expertise so businesses can focus elsewhere.
That's a huge amount of specialized work offloaded. Okay, Foundation 3, compliance and relationships. Moving on to number 4, streamlined fulfillment processes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, fast shipping doesn't mean much if it takes you 3 days just to get the order out the door.
Right. The clock starts ticking for the customer when they click Y, not when the carrier picks it up.
Exactly. The whole chain needs to be efficient.
So what happens when fulfillment is slow or clunky? What problems does that cause?
Well, orders just sit in queues, right?
Yeah.
Processing delays.
Yeah.
If you rely on manual steps, like manual data entry for labels or manual picking lists, errors creep in.
Wrong item shipped, wrong address.
Exactly. Leading to costly reshipments, returns, unhappy customers. And it just doesn't scale. When peak season hits, a manual or inefficient process just collapses under the volume.
So how do you streamline fulfillment? What are the key things businesses should do?
Integration is huge. Your e-commerce store, your inventory system, your shipping software, they need to talk to each other seamlessly.
Okay. Automate the data flow.
Precisely. Using batch or bulk label generation is essential for volume. Printing labels one by one is just too slow.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then optimizing the physical warehouse stuff. Efficient pick and pack paths, using scanners for verification to catch errors before they ship, having clear staging areas so carriers can grab packages quickly without end-of-day chaos.
And how do platforms like us help streamline this part?
Well, the bulk label generation is a core feature. We let businesses generate thousands of labels at once, super fast, way fewer errors.
Saves a ton of time.
Absolutely. And our platform's built for flexibility. It can fit into different workflows, whether you have a simple setup or a complex warehouse operation. And through integrations with WMS systems, ERPs, e-commerce platforms, we provide that end-to-end visibility and management. From order placed to label printed to package shipped and tracked.
That full picture, automating the tedious bits, sounds crucial. Okay, 4 down. That brings us to the final one, Foundation 5, peak season readiness and scalability. The big test.
The ultimate stress test, yeah. Peak season, whether it's holidays or a big sale you're running, it pushes everything to its limit.
Right. If you haven't built for it, things break.
They really do. And if your systems aren't ready for that surge, you're going to have problems that directly hit your customer experience.
What kind of problems are we talking about when a business isn't ready for peak?
You see huge bottlenecks in fulfillment. Orders pile up. Delivery promises get broken. That really damages your brand reputation.
Yeah, people remember bad holiday experiences.
Definitely. Carrier capacity also gets squeezed, right? If you haven't planned or don't have options, you might be stuck paying exorbitant rates for last-minute express shipping just to get orders out.
Ouch. Expensive.
Very. And your own internal systems, the software you use for labels, for tracking, they might slow down or even crash under the load if they're not built to scale.
Okay, so how do businesses prepare? How do you ensure you can scale when that rush hits?
Preparation starts way before peak. Stress testing your workflows is key. Find the weak spots before they break under pressure.
Practice runs.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Using a shipping platform that proves it can handle massive volume is essential. Ask about their peak performance stats.
Good point.
Diversifying carriers, like we talked about in Foundation 1, becomes even more critical during peak. You need those options when your primary carriers get overloaded.
Right, spread the load.
And using your data. Look at last year's sales, forecast demand. That helps you plan inventory, staffing, and your shipping mix way ahead of time.
And how does a platform like ours support businesses during those crunch times?
We build our infrastructure specifically for high-volume scalability. We can process over 10,000 packages a minute, and we've seen traffic surges, like 2.4 times normal volume during peaks, and the system handles it without slowing down. That reliability is crucial.
Uninterrupted shipping, basically.
That's the goal. And uptime is critical, too. Carriers have outages. Sometimes there were over 150 carrier outages just in 2024. But our API maintained 99.95% uptime through all that.
So even if a carrier's system hiccups, businesses using your platform can keep printing labels, keep managing shipments.
Exactly. Keep the operation flowing. That kind of stability during chaos gives businesses huge peace of mind.
I bet. Okay, so those are the 5 foundations: flexible carriers, customer transparency, compliance and relationships, streamlined fulfillment, and peak readiness. It really shows there's way more to shipping than just speed, isn't there?
Absolutely. Which brings us back to that big question. Does blanket 2-day shipping actually make sense for your specific business, for your customers?
Yeah, it's tempting to just jump on the bandwagon, but maybe it's not always the right move.
It might not be. Before you commit to that standard, you really need to look at your own data. Does it actually drive loyalty and profit for you?
So what questions should a business owner be asking themselves?
Well, look at your repeat purchase rates. Are they higher for customers who got faster shipping? Significantly higher.
Okay.
Does faster shipping impact customer lifetime value or reduce churn? Can you actually measure that? Are customers choosing expedited options when you offer them? Are they willing to pay for it? That tells you a lot.
Good point. Are they voting with their wallets?
Right. And do all your products even need the same speed? Maybe some items are urgent, but others aren't.
So really analyze your specific situation, your customers, your products.
Yes. Maybe optimizing for reliable, predictable, cost-effective shipping is actually the better strategy overall for you. Or maybe it's about being strategic, offering speed on certain SKUs where it matters most, but not everywhere.
And I guess the key point is, even if your data does show that faster shipping is beneficial for you,
you still need those 5 foundations firmly in place. Right.
Otherwise, trying to deliver that speed will be inefficient, costly, and probably unsustainable. You can't build it on shaky ground.
That really ties it all together. Get the foundations right first.
That's the core message. Nail those 5 elements, and you build a resilient, efficient operation. Then, faster shipping becomes a sustainable advantage you can deploy strategically, not just a reaction.
Okay, so quick recap for everyone listening. The 5 foundations: flexible carrier strategy, real-time customer transparency, proactive compliance and relationships, streamlined fulfillment, and peak season readiness and scalability.
Get those right.
And you're building a shipping operation that's cost-effective, efficient, scalable, and actually builds that long-term customer loyalty. Faster shipping becomes a tool you can use effectively when the time is right.
Exactly. It's about smart, sustainable growth, supported by a rock-solid shipping operation. Fantastic insights. It really shifts the focus from just speed to, well, building the whole engine correctly. So here's a final thought for you listening today. Take a hard look at your own shipping operations. Which of these 5 foundations feels like it might need the most attention right now in your business? Identifying that weak link, that area for improvement, that's really the first step to unlocking truly efficient growth and customer happiness, moving beyond just the allure of speed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.